Hey, my friends. Welcome back to another Step It Up Stamping. I'm 𝗓𝗂𝗋𝗄, and in today's video, we're going to take a very simple card made with the Pop-Up Petals Bundle, which is a Stampin' Up! November 2025 online exclusive product. And we're going to take that simple card and step it up a couple more times so that no matter where you are in your card making journey, we have something for you. So this Pop-Up Petals Bundles is one of my favorite. I love the fact that the stamp set is a two-step stamp set, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that in just a minute. And then I love the dies. You can see the two rectangles on the right-hand side. Those are the dies that create the pop-up mechanism, and I'm going to show you that in our third card. So let's get started. This is what I like to call our Busy Bee card. This is a card that you can make in minutes. Any level of stamper can make this card. And it's a little busy. I have to be honest and say that I worried that this background paper kind of overtook the main focal image, but I really like it, so I kept it. So if this paper is a little bit too busy for you, just change the paper. Not a problem at all. We are starting with a strawberry slush card base. I love this color. It's a half a sheet of cardstock, but it measures 4 1/4 by 11, and you score it at 5 1/2 inches. Now, I have complete instructions for you that you can get, so during this video, don't worry about the measurements. I've got you covered. So we are using, as I said, strawberry slush cardstock. And then I'm using Floral Impressions paper. I've got the kind of dotted circle background, and then I've got the floral background, and that's where I picked the colors for this card. I did the jar in Misty Moonlight. I did the sentiment in black, and then I stamped this 4-flower image. This is all one image. I stamped the outline in black. And then let me move back over here for just a minute. So you can see here the image. Unfortunately, my mouse is not going to show, but the two images on the right-hand side of the stamp set, you've got your open image, and then you've got your bold floral image. So what I did here is I stamped the floral image in black. Then I stamped the petals with the strawberry slush ink pad, because remember, they're bold, so you just stamp them right in there. Fast coloring. You don't have to worry about coloring anything in. And then I did the centers in Peach Pie, which is a different color combo for me, but I really like it. And I pulled it straight from the paper. You can kind of see a little bit of it down here. And then there is no bold image for the leaves. So I just colored those in with the dark Granny Apple Green blend. Quick and easy. So stamp, color in with a blend, and you are done. And isn't that a cool font? I love how bold that the fonts are in this stamp set. Love it. So very simple card. Very simple. So let's bring in, when we step it up one more step, I like to call that the worker bee card, for those of you that like to put a little bit more work in your cards. Now, this time I did the whole quarter sheet of the background, the circle background from those floral impression designer paper. And then I did the same thing that I did on this card. Let me bring this back in. The difference is two things different. Actually, three things different. I stamped exactly the same that I stamped here, but I wanted to put it on a colored background. So I used Flirty Flamingo, which is a little bit softer than Strawberry Slush. And then what I did is I fussy cut this all out with my scissors. Now, if you have the dies, obviously you're not going to have to fussy cut that out with scissors. You could just die cut it. So cutting it out does take a little bit more work, but I know there's a lot of you out there that like to fussy cut. So just sit some time in front of the TV and you can fussy cut out your image. Now I want to show you the major difference on this card, and that is the sentiment. So there are two ways you could do this. You could just stamp it and then try to cut it in between, but for me, that's too much work. So what I did is I took the stamp, which looks like this. I took some masking tape, just Scotch tape is what I used, and cover up the "for being there" because I just wanted a regular thank you card. So I covered this "for being there" up with Scotch tape, inked up the whole stamp with 𝗓𝗡𝗓𝗓, and then you don't want to forget this step. I removed the Scotch tape, so there'll only be ink on the thanks, no ink on this bottom part that we masked with the Scotch tape, and stamped it down on a 1/2 inch piece of basic white paper. This was 3/4 inch, I believe. It's in the instructions. And then I just took scissors and I just angled the right side. So very, very simple. Okay, now we're going to do our Queen Bee card. And our Queen Bee card is for those of you that are more experienced stampers or confident stampers, card makers. And this card is actually pretty darn simple. Now, this is just a 1/4 sheet of strawberry slush, same as here, except this card opens, this card does not, because what opens is this part. And here's the pop-up part. So I'm going to get to that in just a minute. I have the same Floral Impressions paper on the background. This time, instead of just cutting a square of 𝗓𝗡𝗓𝗓, I wanted a little bit more interest. So I used the Nested Essential dies. Move this up. You could see that there is the little stitching around the curved edge. It just gives it a little bit more finished look. And then I stamped the flowers in the vase exactly the same. I did stamp the butterfly, and then I die cut those all out with the Pop-Up Petals dies. So super simple. So color first, stamp the main image, color first, and then die cut. And I did use the peach pie blends for the butterfly because there is no bold part for that butterfly. Okay, did the sentiment the exact same way, added some linen thread, which I actually did use here and forgot to mention. Just a little bit of linen thread just to add a little bit of interest. Now, let's talk about this really cool pop-up. This is a die from the Pop-Up Petals Bundle, and it is so easy to do, my friends. I've got the measurements that you cut this paper. And then all you do is you take that pop-up die, and it has 2 little arrows on either end, and you just line up those arrows with your score line or your fold line. And then you just run it through the cut and emboss machine, and it creates this little pop-up. Isn't that cool? And then I just ran it through again for the paper and to make this kind of cover on it. But I'm going to do another video that shows you different ways that you could do this pop-up. So if you're just not that clear, look for that video. I'll link it in this video below once I get it done. I'm doing this first, but I just stamped the 3 flowers, cut them out with the dies. These are all individual. Let me put this down so you could see. It's just so easy. And then just put a little bit of glue and glued them behind. So very simple, but I just love this pop-up. It just is so fun. Ugh, love it, love it. Okay, so there you have it, friends. A pretty simple Queen Bee card because the dies do all the work. So we've got our Busy Bee card for those of you that just want to do a card in a hurry or are new card makers. We've got our Worker Bee when you want to put a little bit more work in it. And the work on this one was cutting out the images and masking the thank you. And then we have our Queen Bee card, which actually creates that fun pop-up, and you will not believe how easy it is. Now, I will say, when I got the dies, I was like, what do I do with all this? But it's super simple, and I will do a video for you soon on how you do that because it's super duper simple. Okay? All right, my friends, there you go. Thank you for coming to our Step It Up Stamping today. I'll be back next week with another Step It Up Stamping, and I would love to know if you could put it in the comments which one was your favorite, which one you would be most likely to make. And then I'd love to know what you think of this paper. If you feel that this paper is spot on, or if you think, no, I think I'd like something a little less visual. I'm really torn. Doing it with the paper really grew on me, but I know for some people, the large floral with this focal image kind of pulls your eye. So I would love to know what you guys think. All right, friends, have a great creative week. Thanks for joining us today. Bye.